You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie, and I'm proud of the life I have, surrounded by military and aware just how big the world really is. I have a unique perspective on life and the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. All right, how y'all doing out there tonight? Yes, it's Jessie. Yes, I miss you when we're not talking. All right. I'm going to tell you a couple things straight up. Don't I always? But this one's more in the term of announcement. I have a blistering headache and a raging sore throat. If it wasn't for quite a bit of drugs and various other things, I wouldn't be on the air with you guys tonight. Now, that being said, I need to grab a bottle of water, which is down the hall around the corner. So, I'm going to ask you guys to enjoy the Kim Jong-un parody, because our first topic tonight is going to be that old chestnut, North Korea. But I want to tell you about a conversation I had today with an active duty member of the military, and I think you'll find it pretty interesting. So, all right, let's go to the parody while I grab that water, and I will be back in just a few moments, and we will get to talking about North Korea. I've also got South China Sea. I've got the Rohingya mess. I've got a few other topics. So, all right, I will see you in just a few moments.
When the bombs fall down, he'll be hunkered down. That income ceiling ain't got no floor. Let the peasants burn in queue. Had an uncle at large and a brother to track. Got a knifing for two, straight in the back. Won't be dethroned by some foreign coup. Was just a family fight. See the ruling right to the Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those misses only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with the psychotic regime that's our Kim Jong-un. I would like to discover, maybe that's just me, how many died so he could eat caviar. It flows to his people's doom, compelling peasants to cheer while starving inside. Or how many times that he's tried to blow us apart just ain't right, our little Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those missiles only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with a psychotic regime. That's our Kim Jong-un. Soapbox stood on as we rethink. Appeasement took us headlong to the brink. A nuclear enemy, so willing to upend. If I can be forthright, he's a global blight. That's our Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those missiles only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with a psychotic regime. That's our Kim Jong-un. Nations hope for peace rest on the chubby cheeks of the Kim Jong-un. He's lacking self-esteem with the psychotic regime. That's our Kim Jong-un.
All right, thank y'all for hanging in there with me tonight. Yes, this is the cold medicine taking, cough drop hoarding, and popping Jesse. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Frog puts in his 2 cents tonight. In fact, I fully expect an appearance, and thank you for allowing me to go grab a much needed bottle of water. All right, now back to North Korea. Yes, I've got show prep. So, let's talk about it. What's new? What's different? And what made me want to bring it up first tonight when there's a whole lot of other things going on? Well, one, it's probably the one I know the most about. Two, I find it fascinating, but I must admit that I've always found closed societies and closed cultures fascinating. Now, first of all, for those of you who didn't catch last night's show, I do want to remind you that I gave my opinion on the talks that everyone's proposing. Now, I personally think North Korea cannot be trusted any more than Iran. They will find the loophole. They will. Just like Iran basically paid North Korea to do their nuclear research for them. That is no exaggeration. I don't have any hardcore proof, but I have talked to multiple experts about where that money President Obama sent to Iran probably went. Most of them cannot come on the air. However, I had another very interesting offhanded conversation with an active duty friend of mine who, he'll remain nameless. No, he's not wild. It's not wild, although I'd love to get his take on this too at some point. Maybe I'll see if I can catch him over the weekend. But this soldier, who is an NCO, and that's as much as you're going to learn, and I were talking, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot going on over there, and, you know, it's one of those things that you might not have heard of. I don't think we've discussed Koksan. Koksan. Now, this is something that was first seen publicly in North Korea in 1985. It is a self-propelled 170 millimeter gun. Very little information is available about it. We can tell you, there is a little bit. It's based on the Chinese Type 59 tank chassis. The gun is an open mount, no superstructure. And it's stabilized by two large retractable spades at the rear when it fires. The gun has a range that would allow it to strike Seoul from the DMZ. Yes, you heard me. Now, here's the deal. In 1989, they brought out a new version. The new difference was the lengthened chassis allows it to carry 12 rounds of ammunition, and it carries a crew of 4. The remaining 4 personnel needed to man the gun, ride an accompanying ammunition and support vehicle. Unlike its predecessor, the new one has occasionally been put on public display. Now, this gun is purportedly completely built and manufactured using North Korean products, technology, and things like this. It is a very old weapon. It is a very old weapon. There is nothing new about this. However, what makes this gun a huge threat, and there's 2 things that just flat out make this gun a huge threat. 1, it can hit Seoul from the DMZ. Yeah, that's not something we want to talk about much, but it's a fact. 2, they have quite a few of them. And we don't know exactly how many. But we do know they have them in caves, tunnels, and various places just outside the DMZ. And we are talking thousands of these things. Yes, we are talking thousands. All right? We're not talking they've got a couple hundred. It was first developed in 1979 or 1978, by the way. So they've had a long time to manufacture these. And They bring them out for exercises every now and again. Now, Yu Kong-soo, the father of the Korean People's Army Armored Forces. I want to talk about him for a minute. Okay? He graduated from Soviet Army Tank School in 1938. Yes. Following the liberation of Northern Korea by Soviet forces in 1945, Yu returned to Korea alongside, you ready for this? Kim Il-sung. That name ring a bell to any of you? Come on. Ding, 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 you got it. The founder of North Korea. Yes, I am discussing the very founder of North Korea. So this guy and the founder of North Korea were long friends. He was quickly made a key member of the Korean Communist Party, which was shortly after a very short period of time was renamed the Korean Workers' Party. And he was given honors and lofty titles and all the rest. Okay? All right. What makes this interesting is on the 25th of June, 1950, the Korean People's Army launched its invasion of the Republic of Korea by crossing the 38th parallel. Remember I said, history often sets the stage for what's going on today. One of the leading units was the 105th Tank Brigade. Yeah, it entered Seoul on June 28th. That was 3 days. And they converged on Suwon shortly thereafter, around July 3rd. Shortly after July 3rd. Now, on or about 10th of September 1950, units of the division were ordered to assemble in the vicinity of Kimcheon to regroup, receive replacements. Concurrently, the United Nations X-Corps landed in Incheon on the same day. A few days after the Incheon landing, the division was ordered to move north to Suwon to defend Seoul to repel the X-Corps. Now, the division was very heavily engaged with the 8th Army, which was advancing from Pusan. So, after the armistice, which was signed, remember, it was a ceasefire, not a peace treaty. So technically, these two countries are still at war. It's only on paper, although many times it has come close to boiling over. After the peace treaty, or armistice was signed, after the armistice, Yu remained a KPA commander and an active participant in the Korean Workers' Party functions. Sometime after July 1953, Yu was appointed commander. Some sources say chief of staff at the front of the frontline headquarters, which was later designated Military District Command. And yes, he was the head of it. Now, following Yu's death, the 105th Guard Seoul Tank Division, they gave it that title after it took Seoul. It was given another title, the name of its first commander. So this is how important this was, and it's believed that this man was behind developing at least the plans on paper for this weapon system, because it is very much a tank without the superstructure. It is a tank where all your personnel are exposed. I wouldn't call it the smartest move in the book, but given everything else, it's not something to sneeze at. And by the way, their batteries are 36 vehicles. And North Korea gave some of them to Iran when missiles became available. And Iran used this during the Iran-Iraq War. Okay? And that was an 8-year war. So these things must be pretty rugged, pretty simple, and easy to repair. Because you're not going to want to take if you have limited supply, limited resources, you're not going to want to take a fussy piece of equipment into battle. We do it all the time, but we have the supply chain, we have the resources, and stuff happens. And if you think about it, this artillery system is based on a modified Chinese-type medium tank chassis, which is a copy of the Soviet T-54A. And they produced a lot of them. So when everybody says, well, we could crush them, I know we could, but I was talking this over with my military buddy. And he said, flat out, this would be a bloody war. And by the way, standard ammunition for this thing is 40 kilometers for distance. Boosted ammunition, 60 kilometers. I will convert that to miles for you, but let's just say it's huge. So 60 kilometers is just over 37 miles. 40 kilometers is almost 25 miles. And that's quite a distance, especially when you consider Seoul is approximately 30 miles south of the DMZ. Okay? Now, do I really need to go over what the DMZ is? Really? If you don't know, Google's your friend. Now, they have thousands of these because they're a low-tech, tough fighting weapon. There is no denying it. These weapons have to be taken into consideration whenever there's any talk of us actually just going in there and giving North Korea a pounding. Can't say I wouldn't like to see it, but then you've got to think of what they commonly call the Dover factor. What's that? For those of you that don't know, all foreign soldiers who die on foreign soil are flown to Dover. It would be the number of flag-draped caskets flown into Dover on every flight. All right, folks, it is time to pay those radio station bills. I will see you on the other side.
They fight and die for our freedom. No one had to ask them to go without a moment's hesitation. For the red, white, and blue.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
They fight and die for our freedom. No one had to ask them to go without a moment's hesitation. For the red, white, and blue.
All right, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while we paid those radio station bills. So in short, the North Korean nuclear weapon isn't our only concern with North Korea. Personally, I want to know how you unbrainwash an entire country. But that's a problem for after we forcibly reunify it. All right. South China Sea. Now remember, Vietnam has a claim in the South China Sea. Well, the USS Carl Vinson, with more than 5,000 crew members, is in port in Vietnam. What? It's a port of call. It's nothing crazy. But this is the largest United States military presence in Vietnam since the Southeast Asian nation was unified after the war ended in 1975, and it was under a communist leadership. Now, it is accompanied by a cruiser and a destroyer. What makes this South China Sea is, well, the ship is visiting as China completes work on air bases, radar stations, and other infrastructure that could prove key in a military conflict in the islands in and around Vietnam. Some of them, the artificial, real-world Minecraft stuff China built. Now, the ship's mission includes technical exchanges, sports matches, visits to an orphanage, and a visit to a center for victims of Agent Orange. What was Agent Orange? For those of you who don't know, it was a toxic defoliant sprayed by U.S. forces to deny cover for communist fighters during the war. Now, the U.S. Navy has staged activities in Vietnam for its Pacific Partnership humanitarian civic missions in 9 of the past 12 years. But never has our military presence been so high. It is docked in the Vietnamese port of Da Nang. Now, China is not happy about this. Beijing's unhappy with the first U.S. visit by a U.S. aircraft carrier to a Vietnamese port since the Vietnam War, and basically said that the United States only wastes time and money sending warships to the region. They want to take care of it. We should back off and let them do as they please. But I have something to say about that. Let me get that queued up for you.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Exactly. Now, the South China Sea is a pretty dicey place. Remember, China built islands where there weren't any. China said, oh, there's a rock there, and literally brought in dredged up dirt and did all kinds of things to play real world Minecraft to make their islands in the South China Sea. And then China said, oh, we're not militarizing this. We just built them because we think they look cute. Well, then, of course, guess what happened? Yeah, landing strips, all kinds of other things. So, China was taken to the International Court of Arbitration, which basically slapped China's hand and said, you don't have the right to this property. And China said, so what, we're keeping it. We do. The entire South China Sea is ours. Nobody else has a right to any of it. And that ain't cool. And I do have an older audio clip about the South China Sea.
The first is the U.S. has, for more than 100 years, an interest in having access to the countries of Asia and free transit to the waters of the Pacific. The U.S. has in the past and should always in the future oppose any attempt in the Asia-Pacific region at hegemony that would by definition threaten American access. See here, of course, that as a context for the militarization of the South China Sea and East China Sea issues with China.
All right, like I said, this was taken, by the way, from a congressional hearing. I don't remember the other details, and unfortunately, they weren't in my notes. Yeah, I actually do try and organize this stuff to some point and some extent. I can't promise it's always perfect, but I do my best. Now, China said, oh, we're not doing anything over here. Pay attention to North Korea. And then North Korea starts acting a fool. Now, here's what Shinzo Abe said about North Korea talks.
For more than 20-some years.
By the way, of course, that is the Japanese Prime Minister, and this is the voice of a translator.
The international community attempted dialogue with North Korea. At the time of Framework Agreement of 1994 and at the Six-Party Agreement of 2006, North Korea committed in abandoning their nuclear program. But each time the promise was broken, which resulted in North Korea buying time for their nuclear and missile development while we were making efforts for dialogue.
Remember, that is what the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, says about it. So I'm going to say that picturing North Korea using stall tactics, and I'm not so sure that China is really all that upset about North Korea acting a fool if it gives them cover to work on the South China Sea. I know I'm making a few leaps here, but I think it's worth it. I think this is, to some extent, what is going on. And remember, the South China Sea isn't the only conflict. And by the way, whose fingerprints are in Iran, Iran, North Korea, Syria, Yemen, and a few other places, at least by proxy? Russia. All right, I only have about 15 minutes left, so we are going to move on. to some of the other show prep. By the way, two lawmakers in the United States House of Representatives have introduced a resolution calling for the dismantlement of North Korea labor camp system. It was Representative Mike Conway, who's a Republican from Texas, and Jerry Conley, Democrat from Virginia. It seems to be that's one thing everybody can agree on. And Connolly said that Congress must come together with one voice to condemn North Korea's abhorrent labor camps, and that their resolution sends a strong, clear message to Pyongyang that will not turn a blind eye to the atrocities and human rights abuses. Because remember, they have 80 to 120,000 political prisoners. So, all right, what else do I have in my stack? Oh, Russia. Yes, I'll have to get a sound effect for Russia. Don't have one for them yet, but I'll find one. Russia may have committed a war crime in Syria.
The first is...
Sorry, wrong button. Yes, while Bashar al-Assad was looking the other way, Russia may have committed a war crime. This isn't my opinion. This is the United Nations. It was a devastating airstrike that killed at least 84 people, including 5 children, shopping at a crowded local market, a police station, and family homes nearby. But a United Nations panel has now determined it was more than a bloody day in a suburb of Syria's once largest city, Aleppo. It may have been a war crime. Oh yeah. After 7 years, barrel bombs, chemical weapons, torture, executions, what made this bloody day different? It is the first time the United Nations is pointing the finger at Russia. A new UN report published this week determined that November 13th, 2017, a Russian aircraft used unguided bombs, including blast weapons, in a densely civilian populated area, which may amount to a war crime of launching indiscriminate attacks resulting in death and injury to civilians. Now, the UN does fault the U.S.-led coalition to defeat ISIS for bombing a school that had been used for years as a shelter, which was a violation of international humanitarian law. Russia has yet to respond. The primary target appears to have been the police station, which was destroyed in the bombing. But the UN panel determined the police station was not a lawful military target because it was used for civilian purpose, including traffic police, and none of its officers were actively part of the conflict. And the whole area was part of a de-escalation zone that Russia, Iran, and Turkey had created as part of the Syrian peace talks. And that agreement was supposed to stop the fighting. Well, guess what? Any ceasefire you hear of, either in Ghouta, Afrin, or anywhere outside of Syria, is a ceasefire on paper only. Because Ghouta has now been split in two by the Syrian regime, which is going to make it much harder. Forces loyal to Bashar al-Assad, yeah, this idiot again, took control of nearly half of eastern Ghouta, essentially cutting off one half of the enclave from the other. Rebel fighters in the Hamoria neighborhood surrendered to government troops and agreed to leave the enclave. State-run TV said residents there welcomed the arrival of Assad forces. The government said it had taken control of between 30 and 40% of Ghouta since mid-February. Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said recent government showing in eastern Ghouta has killed 62 people, including 8 children. The ground clashes have escalated, and regime forces have been redeployed to Ghouta from other areas of Syria. Of course, the UN is constantly calling for a ceasefire so humanitarian workers can deliver food and medical aid. France and Britain called for a UN Security Council meeting because Syria has ignored a 30-day secession ordered 2 weeks ago. Of course, UN convoys of aid, when they do arrive, government forces seize some, sometimes all, of the supplies. About 400,000 people remain trapped in eastern Ghouta, which has been under attack by the government since 2013. Yep, I'm looking for another one. Oh, let's talk Russia. Yes, Russia is up to its old tricks. Remember I told you about the poisoning of Alexander Litvinenko in 2010? Yeah, he was poisoned with polonium, and it took him 22 days to die in a UK hospital. And he was a former Soviet spy. This sounds familiar. Sergei Skripal, 66, and his 33-year-old daughter Yulia have been poisoned with a potentially deadly nerve agent, and it was used to deliberately attack the former Russian spy and his daughter. The case is now being treated as attempted murder. And if they die, it will be upgraded to murder. Now, the UK does not have the death penalty. So the worst they could get would be life. However, what makes this interesting, there have been other cases of people who crossed Russian authorities who have wound up dead under mysterious circumstances in Britain, beginning with Bulgarian dissident Markarov, who died in London in 1978 after being jabbed in the leg with a poison tip umbrella. They suspected the KGB. Yes, then it was the KGB. Sorry, I had a mosquito buzzing around. Russian oligarch Boris Berezovsky, an outspoken critic of Putin, was found dead in his home in southern England with a scarf wrapped around his neck. No cause of death was ever determined. Skripal is a retired Russian military intelligence officer who was convicted and jailed for being a double agent for British intelligence service MI6. He was released during a prisoner swap and had been given refuge in Britain, where he kept a low profile but was not using a different identity. Now, the restaurant where they ate and many of the areas where they traveled after potentially being poisoned have been blocked off. Prime Minister Theresa May's government has activated her emergency crisis team, COBRA, which met Wednesday, and said that it is likely to be a lengthy and ongoing process. We need to keep a cool head and make sure we collect all the evidence we can. And the police say the incident is being treated as the case is being treated as a major incident, and involves hundreds of detectives from the counter-terrorism unit. The bench where the duo was found has also been covered with a tent. Now, also, I'd like to acknowledge that one of the first responders who rushed to this couple's aid is also in critical condition in the hospital. That's not the only spot of trouble. You've often heard us occasionally people on this station rail against Muslims. Well, I don't think it ever got so bad anybody blocked social media on us. Sri Lanka government has blocked all social media. Things like Facebook, WhatsApp, and other social media sites have been entirely blocked in some areas. That's after anti-Muslim rioting flared anew on Wednesday in the hills of central Sri Lanka, despite a state of emergency. Residents said the government ordered popular social media networks blocked to stop violence from spreading. The police have also ordered a curfew across much of the region for a third day, trying to calm the situation. So, what happened? It's believed that Buddhist extremists pillaged homes, attacked mosques, and committed other violent acts against the Muslim population in Sri Lanka. And while you don't think of Buddhists as typically violent, this group may have taken the law and their actions into their own hands. All right, we are almost out of time. I'm looking for one more. I think I had a good one in here good for a laugh anyway. Oh, I do have one more follow-up for you, and then I'll see what I've got for funny. Remember the woman in Iran who was, during the Iranian protests, was standing holding her veil on a stick? Well, she has been sentenced to 2 years in prison. All right, now for your amusing news article. An Australian woman happened upon what experts believe is the oldest message in a bottle ever found. It dates back to 1886. Tanya Illman of Perth said she was walking along the beach on Wedge Island when she spied the old glass bottle and picked it up. She thought the bottle, which apparently once contained gin, might look nice on a display she has in her home. She said when she got back to the car, she handed the bottle off to her son's girlfriend. She noticed the bottle had no lid or cap, but there was something that looked like a cigarette inside. It turned out to be a neatly rolled, damp note wrapped in string. After the paper dried, they discovered the note was written in German. Using basic German language skills in Google Translate, Kim Illman figured out the person who dispatched the bottle wanted to know where and when it was found. I could easily make out the month June 12th, but the year was harder to decipher. We had to wait a week to figure out it was 1886. The Western Australian Museum in Perth helped the Illmans determine the bottle had been thrown overboard from a German sailing vessel named Paula, as it's across the Indian Ocean nearly 600 miles from the Australian coast. The museum's assistant curator of maritime archaeology, Ross Anderson, also determined the bottle was part of an experiment by German ships conducted from 1864 to 1933 that attempted to track ocean currents by tossing thousands of bottles into the sea. And each one contained a note giving the name of the ship, its coordinates, when a bottle was tossed into the sea, and the date. The note asked that whoever found the bottle to contact either the German Naval Observatory in Hamburg or the nearest German consulate. And how they knew the ship, the handwriting matched the captain's log for the Paula. And an entry in the log, June 12, 1886, mentioned a bottle having been thrown overboard. All right, folks, I am just about out of time. In fact, I've gone a little bit over. As a reminder, you can always follow me on Twitter at Radio Host Jesse. You can shoot me an email at the station at jessespov@klrnradio.com. And I will see you folks tomorrow night, 'cause I'm gone.